the world of audits. So, okay, the world of audit. So, why audit, and why basically this thing is going to be very much important today, and why then we talk about the CIA is so much important today. So, initially, the most important part is audit. What do we think about the audit? Can anybody tell me? Reply me on the chat that what is audit? Can anybody tell me? Anybody can explain me what is audit? Check and balance. Okay, right, great. Okay, somebody tell me the check and balance. That's a very short and very beautiful answer. Check and balance, right? So who's interested to have a check and balance? Independent examination of financial statement, right? Finding the trail, that's okay. Giving assurance opinion management claims, okay. Okay, assurance, okay. Actually, I'm going to talk about, for example, once we are going to talk about any organization, right? So once the organization is very small, for example, we can say there are just 5 people are working in the organization. So do you think that we have required audit at that time? 5 people organization have required? Yes. You say yes, okay, it would be, but not necessary. Why? Why not necessary? Because there is one of the theory of the management behind it. Okay, what the theory of the management? One of the theory it is saying that you can control, like one man can control 5 or 10 people directly. Now it depends on the person to person. Some people can having the ability to manage the people and they can able to get the work from 5 people in very easiest and calmest way. But some people have more capability, they can handle 7, they can handle 8. Or maximum, some people can handle the 10 people. This is a maximum, this is a threshold point. So is it one of the theory? But when the organization is growing, so actually you are hiring, and when you are hiring, obviously, so the number of staff is going to be increased. Okay. So what happens? The things are going to be uncontrollable. And this is actually concern of stakeholders. Why? Again, why? Business actually required the controls. Somebody is saying the business can run by the finances. No. The business can run by the controls. If you are going to expand the business, you need more controls. And when obviously the things are going to be uncontrollable, so it's going to be disaster, or sometime you can say you are actually going in the severe losses. Now, because of uncontrollable part, either it is respect to the operations, or it is respect to the inventory, or it is respect to the any other production, or it is respect to the regulatory compliances, or it is respect to the any other part. Obviously, when it's going to be uncontrollable, what happens? Now we are going to just make a small graph. For example, I'm just giving you the idea of how it is. For example, this is one of the goal which the organization is looking for. And when the people are starting work on here and they are working, okay, it's going to be very fine, but sometimes it's happening like that. Maybe it's cover, but again, and what happens here? It actually happening, the deviations are coming into this graph, and this deviation actually is what? This deviation is respect to the work. When the work is not completed, again, important part is here, time, x-axis, and cost, and work, y-axis. Now what happens? We need to complete that work, but the important part is that we have to complete this part, right, on this certain time. So time is the most important part. If you are completing your work but the time is increased, so what happened? The cost increased, and you are actually deviating from your goals. And finally what happens? When the final day which you decided the goal has to be completed on that at that time, it not happens, and you have actually facing the losses. And there are so many things obviously are going to be involved. Now when we just talk about the, before going to the audit and the world of audit, when it's going to be started and why it's going to be started, so we must know how the organization actually are working, and why the people are so much curious about it, that they need to have a complete audit structure in the organization. Again, come up to the management level. Management does not require the things going to be uncontrollable. So what the thing actually the management is looking for, because management wants that this line which they have drawn, right, this line should not be deviated from their part. So there is not only one thing is going to be involved. So we are going to divide it. So we have some technical work in the organization, right, and and then we have some managerial work in the organization. Now how we are going to segregate all these things? Technical part, normally the people who are involved in their work of specialization. Although the management people are also in their specialization, but they are actually technical people, the technically specialized, specialization in technical part, or probably in operations, but they are specialized people. Also, but what happens? They are facilitating the technical people. And both people actually are very important for any organization. Without having these people, the organization cannot be achieve their goals. Like same we are talking about the one engine. So engine have so many nuts and bolts and obviously different type of parts which are conjoined each other, and obviously they are actually supporting to other part, and then the engine runs. Same the organization today we are talking about is one of the engine, and everybody, either we are going to talk about the small level, either we talk about the ना हमारा अपना माइक बंद करने हैं. Okay, so either we are going to talk about the technical people, I talk about the managerial people, all basically are very important in the organization, because without having these people we cannot achieve the goal. And management, now the management needs assurance. Management needs assurance that how to achieve that goals, okay, and what time, and obviously what cost. So not we are going to only talk about the goals, we are also talk about the cost, we also talk about the time. So important it was we must have to achieve certain assurances on monthly basis if the goal is actually being developed in a yearly goal. Now on this part, when the organization actually is dividing the facilitating work, for example the HR is also facilitating, quality is also facilitating, finance is also facilitating, accounts is also facilitating. So there are number of departments in the organization who are the facilitating department, but there are number of departments who are the operational technical department. Both are highly important with each other, right? But organization wants the providing all the resources to the organization. The organization people must have to achieve that goal on that time. So as far as concerned, when you are hired the people, obviously, for example, I just put it down, I need an internal auditor who have a bachelor's degree, 5 years of experience, okay, and I am going to hire the people now internal auditor. Do you think every person having the same capability? Is it possible that every person should have a same capability? And then obviously no, it is not possible. Same we are going to talk about it, all the fingers are not equal. So what happens, the organization actually are going to suffer with respect to the culture, with respect to the capabilities of the people who are working. So then the thing is going to be, error is going to be increased, productivity is going to be decreased, and then many factors and parameters need to be checked and carried out. That actually what happens. So my dear, here is the world of audit is going to be generated, and the body which I am going to talk about, Institute of Internal Auditors, who basically provide all the practices, standards, and obviously framework as well. This is not recent for 50 years or 40 years of body. It is about 200 years back body who are working on these same stance at how to conduct and plan and engage the audits. So with respect to their part, the audit has check and balance, but we are going to also check it out what audit is. So audit has two major types. One is internal and second one is the external. When we are going to talk about the external audits, it always means the financial audits. Okay? And when we are talking about the internal audit, so there are all the other audit is going to now fall down in this category. For example, I can say the inventory audit. Okay? I am going to say legal audits. I am going to say like compliance audit. Okay? I am going to say like IS audit or IT audit, whatever you can say. And I am going to say like statutory audits. Okay? And administrative audits, very project audits, HR audits, and many areas. Well, all the areas is going to be now fall in this internal audit category. Now you can see how many areas is going to be covered in this part. Either only external audit has only the financial audit is going to be pertained. But this is, you must know, this is a type of audit. Audit is always recommended to just remember third party. Okay? Always remember to third party. So usually people are thinking that when the auditor is going to be called from the outside, so this is only a third party audit. Yes, it is a third party audit, but normally people who are working in the organization, so they think about it, this is an internal, this is not like the word internal. No, internal audit means they're all type of audits. So normally the organization who had hired normally the people who are already conducting the audits in their, like you have so many people are working UBL and National Bank and Reserve. So you are conducting the audit inside audit, but actually you are not used to report directly to management. You have been hired for this purpose, but your reporting part is not CFO. Your reporting part is not finance. Your reporting part is not the these areas. Reporting is the direct board of directors. So we have normally in the organization, like in the banks, we have a SCP, and then basically we have a management committee, and then we have an audit committee as well. So you are actually not liable to submit your opinions and guidelines and whatever, like the observations and compliances and non-compliances with respect to their reports. So you are actually not submitting to the management. Yes, this is one of the standard that you have to give a draft to management before going to submit it to the board of governors or the whatever, like your concerned audit committee. But this is like internal auditor work. Now another thing is, the one of the aspect you can understand, this is the world of audit. IIA, Institute of Internal Auditors, has designed the scope of the internal audit, and obviously they are going to divide the audit types, which is external and internal. And then now basically we are going to talk about further. What is further? Further is, my dear, this is, we call it service level audits, or we call it usually surface level audits. What you are doing? What you are doing in the organization? You have a checklist. Normally, you go and compare the different areas of the organization with respect to that audit, and comparing your checklist with some points, either it's a number or it's something like that, you have giving some weightage. on each item and parameters, and then probably it's happened like you are going to compare, and you can see okay, if this value is not equal to this value, so you have some observations, and if the value also goes down from that value, so what happens, then you can say like it is almost a non-compliance level, right? The same thing you are doing, right? In engagements, is anything more you are doing in the audits? They're just comparing the values with the other values. Is it? Or something more you are doing? So usually there is another type of audit which we call it detailed audit. So we are going to discuss what is detailed audit, or another name of this audit, we call it in-depth audit. So where we have required this sort of audit, but now why it's so important, stakeholders now knows the good corporations, the good companies who have a very concrete and the good systems. They normally know that without having the audit they cannot achieve their goals. But as far as concerned from the SMEs, where only the one-man show sometimes, but mostly the companies are the same. They have a one-man show. They hire the people, but obviously their director has been involved in the operations, and they would like to know what's going on. So if the organization is going to bigger and bigger, they have a concerns. Not concern, they have concern of inventory. So they would know, they would like that if inventory has become in deviations and losses and theftiness happening normally more than their threshold level, so they have their concerns. And concern is where the product is going, when it's coming in and out. So why it's not going to be showing up on the sales. So every stakeholder now today understand this, that without having the checks and controls, I cannot be able to run that business. So they may have their concerns. So there are huge jobs available, either in locally or we talk about international. Corporations have a concrete systems, financial institutions have a concrete systems, and there they may have regulatory requirements from the SECP and State Bank and AGPR that they must have to conduct the internal audit at least one time in all over the area in a year, at least same like as ISO is saying, and they have to submit the report and submitted their concerns. Now, if again we are going to talk about why CIA, right? So in CIA is an international certification. Now international certification today is so much worth over the world. when the cosmopolitan cities are being developed, like for example, earlier the Karachi is this cosmopolitan city, but obviously their trade is going to be low. But as far as concerned that other countries, for example Dubai, we are going to talk about the London, we are talking about the New York, we are going to talk about the other countries like that, big countries. So there are different people are coming from the different countries, from the different areas. So the stakeholder have concerns. Stakeholder is saying which degree we can accept, which we cannot. And obviously there are some issues with respect to their degree as well. For example, some person is going to come up from the Nigeria and they have a degree with the masters as well, but they don't have a capability on that extent. So they have their concern. They said, okay, if you can pass this certification, which is not only the certification, they have their some own systems. Some certifications is a good certification, but some certification would not have, some certification would not have a framework and standards. And I am going to talk about initially the CIA also not have any standards. Myself, I am being engaged from the 2003 and obviously training the CIA. In Pakistan, when we basically came back, obviously we are basically worked with the SCP, and we, myself and some people, in 2007, I think so, that's 10th October 2007, our hard work and obviously people, we incorporated the law in SCP that head of these internal audit should be CIA certified. And in the government side, they have some more increments as well. And it is now the part of the AGPR and AGP as well. So everybody should go for this international certification, because they have their own curriculums, which is designed by the experts of experts, and they are going to assess you by that curriculum where you have got the training. And then obviously when you have passed this certification, so it's an international certification which is highly credible in all over the world. It's almost, it's a big certification. For example, now initially it was a four parts, but now it has 3 parts. Right now, in 2019, there's a new curriculum actually has been published by the IIA, and even though sometimes the small changing is going to be happen, and obviously change is required, but sometimes is going to be considered as a radical change. So in the curriculum it is very radical change, and all the content and all the different things is not available on the internet, and even though in the IIA books as well. So then basically I had taken a topics which have been floated by the IIA, and I developed my own notes, own presentations, and also I divided part 1 into 10 chapters. Okay, this is all those topics topic wise, and then each chapter I had developed 60 questions, which is MCQs based questions. So whenever the chapter is going to be finished, we can provide you the questions and you can solve by yourself. It takes around 3 months almost to complete. But when you have, on the 1.5 months has gone, so I started CIA part 2. On this part I had developed 8 chapters, but it's very, it's almost very big chapters. Again, it takes 3 months. So almost in total, we can say in 5 months we can complete part 1 and 2. And my recommendation is what? Don't go for the paper whenever you are not going to be completed part 1 and part 2. This is my recommendation. Otherwise, up to you, because 15,000-18,000 people actually have been passed from my side for the last 18 years. So my recommendation is when they have followed, so they have been passed. Last part 3, is a very big part, and it has a radical change in this part. There is 2 things is going to be on higher side. 70% part is not totally related to the IT audit, and it's very, very extensive in IT audit side. Okay, and 30% part is going to be managerial audit. So obviously those people who have a financial background, they may able to easily catch this part, but almost 14 chapters I have been written in this part, and it takes 5 months to complete. And 2 teacher actually we are going to, in here 1, 2, 3 I'm here till 70, but 30% part managerial audit is not my area, so another teacher is going to be taken out this part. So almost, my dear, it will take around 1 year to complete. And this is the shortest path in all over the world that we are actually offering. I'm going to tell you again, this is the most shortest path, even though IIA itself is offering this course in 2 years. And they are not providing the complete stuff and material as well, I'm telling you. The material that we have actually had developed and we are giving the people, Alhamdulillah, in my last batch, 3 people also had got certification, like they have passed 1 and 2, and now they are coming for the 3 with respect to the new curriculum. And though all are basically from the banking sector. So this is now other part, I'm going to just give you the idea. Then I will suggest you, after this one you completed 1 and 2, then you can go for the IIA membership, because it's a yearly membership first of all. Okay, and second is the other part is enrollment. Enrollment is for 3 years. Now you have to have complete these 3 parts within 3 years. If you are not going to complete this part in 3 years, and you have just passed 2, and you can say one of the part is remaining, and 3 years gone, so all the previous paper that you have given is going to be gone. Again, you have to get the enrollment and membership, and then obviously you can give all 3 papers again. So it's a very patient job. Okay, you have to be taken smoothly, politely, and inshallah you can cover each and everything. Another part, why you are here, why you are come to me. This is what I have been we have we are actually for the last 22 years, we have all the courses that we have been offering is almost professional courses. We are not gathering and catering the young students, second year. People are coming to me who have 18 years, 19 years, 10 years of experience. So as far as concerned with that, you have if you are not going to take this tuition, so professionally you are so much engaged. Maybe you have a stuff, maybe you can get some stuff somewhere, but you don't have a time to learn that stuff. Our class time is only on Saturday, part 1, 6 to 8. Easy to take anywhere from the world. When you travel, you can take on your cell phone. From our membership area, you can get all the material and notes. No issues, no problems. So in Saturday, part 1, 6 to 8. Okay, easily you can cope up, and you have a time in 3 months you can complete this job. And obviously once you have somewhere, so you can easily learn in very good manner. Otherwise lonely you cannot be able to move further. So move further. Okay, this is like I already talked to you. I just give you the idea like 3D educators. If you have not visited, you can visit the 3D educator. 3D educator is like in working in Pakistan, UK, Sri Lanka and Somalia as well. We already do have offices over there, and we are working in 25 major domains, and each domain we have a list of comprehensive international certification. We have been adjunct almost with the 16 international bodies. A lot of bodies have been written over here, and we have a professional members and professional people who are engaged in their discipline, those who have their own expertise and consulting part as well. Now come up to the next part, that is standards and the proficiency, which is talk about the IPPF, International Professional Practices Framework. Now my another question is, what is framework? Start writing. What do you think about framework? Can anybody tell me? Question is, what is framework? And if somebody have any idea, they can open his mic, or although you can write it down on your chat box. Work. What is framework? I'm just doing a layman, and I want to ask you that what is framework? So how you can define the framework? Any idea? Okay. For example, I'm just giving you the smallest example. I can ask you, like you can develop the orange juice from bottle, not like a organic orange juice glass for my guest. So how you can develop? Just take an example, okay? Example is saying to me like, for example, I need one glass, number one, and it's just mentioning it what I needed. Okay, I need one glass. Then I need almost like it's about 300 ml water or 250 ml water, right? Then what I do, I need like a big spoon, like 2 spoon. First suppose 2 spoon of orange juice flavor. Okay, and then I can say 1 teaspoon sugar and 4 cube of ices, right? Almost. Now I can say that if I need 1 glass of orange juice, so I need that sort of ingredients required. Is it clear? So I can make, actually what I made, I can make 1 glass. This is I develop one juice, one glass of orange juice. Okay. Do you think this is the enough resources that I had mentioning over here, or is something is going to remain? Is everything okay? Or something is remain? Very important question here. Reply me please on chat. In this ingredients, everything is okay or something is remained? Water I write it, 250 ml of water, you can see. Yes. Anything? Nobody? Everything is okay? You can check. I have just developing a one glass of orange juice, which I am mentioning the one glass, then of 251 ml water, 2 spoons of orange juice flavor, and obviously 1 teaspoon of sugar and then obviously 4 cubes of ice. We can develop a 1 glass of orange juice. Is it okay? Okay. But I think there is one thing is very important which is remained, and you people have not mentioned over here. Like I need at least one person who's going to make this orange juice glass. And all the resources, this is the highly important thing, which is we call it a person is required to have to develop this sort of glass. Now my dear, if I can say that, if I'm going to say that I need 100 glass juices, so obviously in a time, so do you think it is enough thing is there? Orange is not required, my dear. It's basically a flavor, juice flavor. We have used orange. So 100 glasses at a time if we have required. So obviously this is not the enough ingredients. Now here we have to have developed some system where I can develop 100 glasses at a time. And here you have required some steps, okay, SOPs. Now the generic people can understand what is SOPs, even though there is some, only the corporate people can understand the SOPs. But now after the corona, the people can easily know the SOPs. So SOPs is standard of procedures, okay, which you must have to adopt. But there should be some concrete systems behind it, and there are steps with timeline also needed, and the people who are actually working, they must know when and where put the ingredients into the system, and once you are going to do this thing from here, and you are looking for this thing from here, so actually you understand, okay, we can get 100 glasses of juices, and I am pretty much assured. I can have this 100 classes. It is unbelievable to me that after providing all the resources, I cannot get 100 glasses of orange juice. And this is actually, we develop a framework, okay, where obviously when we talk about the organization, so that some areas we have divided, okay, normally into the different departments inside, and the department have the different jobs and they are integrated with each other. And finally we can say some have big jobs, some have small jobs, but they may have a input, okay, and then these input becomes the output of them, output becomes the input of others, right? Same like that, and then finally we have a final output. So once this thing is going to be designed, so we can say we have a good what we have developed. Actually, we have developed an environment of the organization. That environment actually, called framework. Normally when new managers come into the organization, what happens? The new manager says, no, I'm going to do this like that, I'm going to do this like that. Okay, we are talking about, this is like we are generating the framework, and actually what we are doing over here, we are setting the parameters on different stages of the departments, that you must have this concrete P2 you have required, you must have a P2 with you. If you have required the Y3, so you can get the Y3. You can require the Z8, so you can get the Z8 over here. Like what? Like actually if we are not giving the right parameters at the right time, okay, right parameters means right inputs, okay, and right time. So if we are giving, we are get assured, okay, we get assured. If we are not giving, we have a NCs, non-compliances, okay, we cannot get the outputs. And the organization concerned, their main management concern is what? They need the assurance that the work has to be performed on time, and this is the responsibility of the managers, that they have to take in the work from their employees on time by giving the appropriate inputs and providing all the resources to get the assurance of the work on time. Now the auditor actually is another manager who is actually on the manager to supervise him, and obviously to take the report, to give in and submit it to the reports to the management, either the double check that either the manager is working and performing appropriately or not, so the auditor can provide the assurance, okay, this is going to be running appropriately. Now in this aspect, if the environment, for example, I've said earlier that some new manager actually comes in the organization, so you have a difficulties to adjust with him. Why? Because he actually has his own environment. He has said, oh no, I'm not going to take this report in this way, develop this report in this way, okay, go and make a certificate of this part, okay, attach these things, okay, the document is not like that, okay, I'm not going to sit on that way, I'm going to sit over there. Might be he can also change your sitting arrangement as well. This is a basic style of the manager in his own environment of the work. So he's changing a lot, and after 3 months everything is going to be settling down, and you can have the complete things with you. Now same as to get the good assurance, the complete framework of Institute of Internal Auditors. It was not there, but now there was the IPPF, that is International Professional Practices Framework. And then they provide you the complete definition of IA, internal audits, and their standards and their terminologies, and obviously the due professional care, which is highly important as far as concerned, and then obviously the proficiency and CPD, what it is. So further is what? Further is how we can govern through IPPE. As we have discussed over here, that in IPPF we have standards, and we are going to discuss all these standards. How the standard actually is going to be segregated. So in IPPF, that the standards are, so we have to talk about the standards actually are the guidelines, best practices, okay, and there is some standards which is called the talking about its attributes. So we call it attribute standard. And another is the implementation standards, which has two parts. One is A means assurance, and another one is B, which is called C, which is called consulting, right? So every standard actually has been defined according to that part. There are standard numbers. Normally the internal auditing standards number are starting from 1000 and finally is going to be end in 2500 till IS audit 3000 maximum. Their number is going to be defined, but there is no need to to learn all these numbers. There is no need to learn the numbers. Okay, so further, governance obviously had developed some guidelines, and obviously the IIA, and there is another one body, if you know about it, ISACA, Information System Audit and Control Association, having a very renowned certification, CISA, which I am also one of the facilitator of it. So in 2007, the ISACA president and the IIA president has having three big meetings. And earlier there is no standard number, either it is respect to the ISACA or IIA. They are talking about their framework, which it was again not very much fully designed. After these concrete meetings, they have announced first time in 2011 the standards, SOPs numbers, and with respect to their features and parameters and how this will behave. Now internal auditing standards board, that is basically they now recommending that you must have a develop internal auditing standard boards, you must have develop ethics committee, you must have a guiding settings and processing due diligence. And what are the key elements of IIA definition? We are going to talk about all these things, and overview obviously the must, you giving the all the employees to overview of the IPPF and the mandatory and the strongly recommended guidance with respect to the auditors and what are these. Now you see here the definition of the internal auditing. It is quite impressive and very lovely definition. Maybe there are so many people who are being involved in the internal audit today, they don't know what is the actually meaning of the audit. Number one, my dear, if you are an auditor, so that is, you think like, we are not going to say that we are the police person. We are not a policeman. Don't behave like a policeman. Okay? Yes, you are an auditor. You have authority to check and balance and obviously see all up or around what's going on in the organization. But what's the objective of the auditing? You can see over here. You can read it out. That very important definition. I think everybody can easily view my screen as well, right? So you can you can easily see my screen. Okay. Internal auditing is an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity designed to add value and improve an organization operation. It helps an organization accomplish the objective by bringing a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of risk management, control and governance process. Now here is basically internal auditing definition is talk about you are actually an independent. It means there is no pressure on your aspect. There is no biasness from your end. You have to have, whenever you are going to conduct any audit, so with respect to the assurance and consulting activity, you must have to add value in the organization. It means like and improve organization operations. Now actually the main purpose of the audit is to improve the organization importance. You must have to help the organization to bringing a systematic discipline approach. Like you must align the processes of the organization. This is your duty to evaluate and improve the effectiveness. Effectiveness means output and always the risk-based management control with the governance process. So we can, again we are going to, whenever we are going to restart the topics, we are going to obviously talk about this very this is IIA standards. Obviously I just talk about the like attribute standard is now basically start from 1000 to 1340, performance from 2060 as I talk about, and assurance and consulting. And this is the like attribute standards we are going to talk about in detail, every standard in every chapter, that what is a standard is and what we are talking about. And then obviously their performance standards, there what's the basically the performing part, there something is also going to be in the part 2. Actually why I am going to say you that you must have to like do part 1 and part 2, then you can go for give the paper of part 1, because there are so many things actually are being not available in the part 1, but there are so many questions is pertain to that part, which is going to be right now in implications actually, and implementation is part 2. So the course actually has so much interdependent with each other, so that's why I am saying to go for it. And then there continuous performance standards, and this is the mission of internal audit. You can see it's a very beautiful framework, you can say that. There are the standards, there are definition and code of ethics and core principles, and then you have implementation, supplemental guidance and recommended guidance and mandatory guidance, and this is the mission of internal audit. So it's a very beautiful picture as well. Now we have some core principle, mandatory guidance, we have core principle, definition, code of ethics and IPPF. So what are the core principles? Number 1, demonstrate integrity. You must you must be a clear person. You must be very don't lose your integrity and be honest with your organization, with your profession, and you must have a competence. You must know your work, okay, what you are, and due professional care. Always the other person which you are conducting the audit is a manager. He also having a professional career, so you can use your authority, not going to disobey the law of ethics, and obviously as well as his honor and obviously his credibility and his capability, yes, you can say that the work has not been performed due to that the reasons, but don't be any time you can like give the any sort of um, anything which is going to be hurt him, like on the personal level, right? And obviously it's objective and free from undue influence, independent and aligned strategies, objectives of the organization. We are going to discuss in detail that what is the meaning of that part, and is appropriately positioned and adequately resourced, and you have to be like given all the resources, everything on that time, like that sometime we have to travel, sometimes you need like some hotel and something like that, you need some resources as well. When it's operational audit, there are so many things are required, and continuous improvement is a more important part. So you have to have submit your report with some opinion, guidelines, and obviously suggestions which is going to improve the organization. Communicates effectively, and obviously you must know how to write the reports, you must know what are the legal languages, and then provide risk based assurance. And then another audit type, we are going to discuss this part in detail, that what are the other audit types. So the other audit type is like risk based assurance. So we have a risk audit technique, so we are going to discuss in detail. And insightful, proactive, and future focused, and you know, like your audit should be very insightful, like it's proactive, and it's future focused, like what would be happen in future as well. So the control might be is not appropriate, and you need a read right now as a control to control the future. Promotes organizational improvement, and obviously you can conduct the training, you can call the people for the training, and obviously train your people and train from. So there are attributes and performance standards and the implementation standards. Consulting services, you can hire the people from outside, you can have a mandatory guidance, obviously, and I'm talking about what are the mandatory guidance, that are due professional care and obviously other things. And then basically like this is the attribute standards, and we already talked about the performance standards, we already implementation standards, right? So this is the guidance as well, implementation and supplemental guidance. So this is all about the basic important area, that how this audit and why this audit and what is the worth of the audit. Like once you are going to complete this, it's equivalent to the chartered accountant certification, like that. So today's basically presentation is related to the why CIA, what is internal audit, what is the importance of the internal audit. Once you have complete, my dear, it is the shortest path after the bachelor's degree, or you can come into the internal audit system, which is highly required. Jobs are available in all over the world, and it's an international certification, then you can have no issue once you have completed this, when you have already passed this. So you, my dear, you can have a good job in the market, and now it's a demanding area. So my presentation is going to be finished over here. If you have any further questions, you can ask.